The rain came down hard over the burned plains of Rhea 9. It wasn't natural rain. It smelled of metal and smoke, thick with the fallout of the orbital wars that had gutted the colonies. Darren Holt had stopped noticing the difference years ago. He just knew it kept the dust down. His homestead sat at the edge of the ruins, one of the few habdomes still standing, half buried in slag and weeds. He spent his days scavenging wrecked shuttles for wiring, melted composites, and half-dead power cells. He didn't expect company. Certainly not that night. The knock came just after sundown. 3 short, 1 long. Hesitant. Darren frowned, setting down his wrench. Out here, people didn't knock unless they were desperate or dangerous. He unlatched the dome door, keeping his plasma cutter at his side. And there she stood, tall, draped in torn robes, her pale violet skin bruised and stained with soot. Her silver hair hung in strings across her sharp, alien face. She trembled as she spoke through cracked lips. "Human," she whispered, her translator barely functional. "Please. I seek shelter." He scanned her with a mechanic's eye, malnourished, exhausted, but not armed. The tag on her neck, a thin strip of copper, marked her as property, once. A slave. Darren lowered the cutter. "Comin' before the storm gets worse." She blinked, surprised. "You will let me?" "I'd be a poor man, but not a cruel one." She stepped in slowly, her eyes adjusting to the warm orange light of the dome. The smell of metal and rusted oil made her flinch. He fetched a blanket, some reheated nutrient paste, and a small tin mug of water. She devoured them like she hadn't eaten in days. "What's your name?" Darren asked quietly. She hesitated. "I was called Lura, but no one has spoken it kindly in many cycles." "Lura it is," he said. "I'm Darren Holt. You're safe here." She stared into the steam rising from her mug. "No one is safe anymore, human." He didn't argue. He'd seen enough burned cities to know she was right. That night, as she slept by the heating coil, Darren worked in the next room repairing a battery cell. The quiet hum of tools was the only sound until he noticed her stirring, crying in her sleep. "Lura," he said softly. Her eyes snapped open, slitted, glowing faintly blue in the dark. She looked ready to strike. "It's all right," he said, raising his hands. "You're safe." She exhaled, trembling. "I dream of them, the masters. Of the child, I could not give them." Darren paused. "They hurt you for that?" She nodded, tears wetting her pale cheeks. "My kind, the Thyrali, we are dying. The stars took our fertility. The masters bought us to test, to breed, to own. I was barren, useless." Her voice broke on the word. Darren's heart tightened. He'd seen too many broken souls after the wars, humans and aliens both, used up and discarded. "You're not useless," he said quietly. "You survived. That's more than most." Lura's gaze softened. For the first time in years, she felt warmth, not from the coil, but from a man who spoke as if her life still meant something. 2 days passed. Lura began to help him, patching leaks, cleaning filters, learning to weld with clumsy hands. She was graceful, strong, and strangely curious about everything human. Why he kept an old photograph on the wall, why he talked to his tools, why he planted flowers in soil that could barely sustain moss. "It gives me something to believe in," he said one morning as she watched him kneel in the dirt. "What do you believe in?" "That things can grow again," Darren said. "Even out here." She didn't answer. But that night, she lingered by the flowers longer than usual. On the 3rd evening, the sky split open with thunder. Darren was sealing the hatch when the alarm light blinked, a motion sensor outside the dome perimeter. He grabbed his cutter again. "Stay inside," he told Lura. But when he opened the hatch, his jaw went slack. 3 figures stood in the rain, taller, thinner, wrapped in ragged cloaks. Thyrali women, each bearing the same copper tag at their throats. Lura gasped behind him. Sisters. The eldest stepped forward, voice trembling. Lura? We followed your signal. We thought you dead. Lura fell to her knees, overcome. I found refuge. This human, he gave me shelter. Their eyes, glowing in hues of violet and blue, turned to Darren. Their faces unreadable, their posture wary. The eldest spoke again. You would hide us? Knowing the bounty. What bounty? Darren asked. Each escaped Thyrali slave is worth 2,000 credits alive. 10,000 if returned for experimentation. Darren spat in the dirt. I don't trade lives. They stared at him like he was speaking madness. No human refuses that much wealth, the second one hissed. I do, he said simply. He turned and opened the door wide. You can stay if you want, but it won't be easy. Food's scarce, water scarcer. The eldest studied him for a long moment, then inclined her head. Then we owe you a debt, human. Over the next days, the dome came alive in ways it hadn't in years. The Thyrali, Lura, Aaron, Salka, and Tesh brought quiet grace to the ruin. They cleaned, repaired, reinforced the dome structure. Aaron was an engineer once. She optimized Darren's generator, doubling output. Salka cultivated glowing moss for food supplements. Tesh taught Darren their songs, low, harmonic tones that vibrated the air like prayers. And Lura smiled now. One evening, as they sat by the heater, Darren found her watching him. What? He asked, self-conscious. You risked much, she said. If the patrols find us here, you'll be executed. He shrugged. Been living on borrowed time anyway. Lura leaned closer. Why do this for us? Because someone should, he said. Because maybe if one man does the right thing, it'll start something worth keeping. She touched his hand, lightly, trembling. You have a kind heart, human. He smiled faintly. Don't tell anyone. I've got a reputation. She laughed, a soft, musical sound that filled the dome. But peace never lasts long on Rhea, 9. 2 weeks later, a patrol ship came screaming over the horizon. Darren saw the lights first, red and white cutting through the smog. Inside now, he barked. The Thyrali scattered, hiding in crawl spaces and beneath floor panels. Lura hesitated, gripping his sleeve. You can't face them alone.
Go, he snapped.
She obeyed, vanishing into the shadows. Moments later, the soldiers landed, 3 men in gray armor, their visors glowing blue. Darren Holt, the leader, called, stepping into the dome. We've traced Thyrali energy signatures to this location. Mind explaining? Darren wiped his hands on a rag. Plenty of old junk around, probably picking up residuals from the crash fields. The soldier's gaze swept the room. You've been off-grid for years. A man could hide a lot in this dump. Darren smiled. You think I've got time for pets? You're welcome to look around. They did. For 20 minutes they tore through the dome, smashing panels, overturning crates. Darren's heart pounded with each thud, each shout. He could almost hear Lura's breath beneath the floor. Finally, the soldier snarled. Nothing here. Then you're wasting my air, Darren said coolly. They left without another word, the shuttle's engines howling as it lifted back into the storm. When silence fell again, the Thyrali emerged one by one, shaking, wide-eyed. You risked your life, Aaron whispered. Wasn't my first time, Darren muttered, sinking into a chair. Won't be my last. Lura knelt beside him, tears shining in her eyes. You could have betrayed us. Yeah, he said softly. But then I'd have to live with it. That night, the 4 alien women sang. Their voices filled the dome, rich, haunting, a harmony so deep it made the air tremble. It was a song of rebirth, of barren worlds made fertile again. Darren didn't understand the words, but he felt them. As the melody rose, Laura stepped forward. Our kind cannot bear children anymore, she said. But you gave us something greater. You gave us life again. She placed her copper tag in his hand. We are no longer property. We are yours only if you wish it. He closed her hand around it instead. You're free. Always were. Tears shimmered in her silver eyes. Then let us stay, not as slaves, not as debtors, but as family. Darren smiled. Family sounds just fine. Outside, the poisoned rain fell softer than before. And in the heart of a broken world, 1 human and 4 alien women began to rebuild something neither species had known in a long time: hope.